This morning I had a really huge aha moment and I got really excited and I rushed home and I wrote it all down. And I'm going to share it with you. And I'm also going to share with you the process that I'm going through right now, later this morning, in moving from having an aha moment like that to what do I do now? So, the aha moment for me was I realized that my work is really two pronged, and I also clarified my mission in life a little bit more. Um, the mission for me, my mission, I think, is to help people to take the steps in life that are truly important to them. And I know that if you're familiar at all with my work, or if you've been to my website and you've seen something about my mission, that may seem like a new piece of information. But for me, it's been there since the beginning. Um, that's sort of been a passion and a fascination of mine since I was a teenager. Um, Helping others to do that and helping myself to do that. But specifically to me, I think the way that I can best do that is actually two prong. One is uh, what I've been doing for 20 years, 25 years, um, using music and my sensitivity as an artist to create moments where people begin to feel the current. And what I mean by that, in a really broad sense, is they start to not just know in their head, but to feel in their body the reality that they're not out here alone. They're not in a desert trying to build something by themselves, but they're actually standing in a current that has its own pace and its own direction. And as they begin to feel, I'll change that to we, as we begin to feel ourselves in that current, as we begin to feel the current, and we begin to realize that it has us, we start to feel a few things. One, we start to feel supported. I'm not out here alone. It's not up to me to make it happen. There's a current, and I'm supported by it. It's carrying me. And that moves me from thinking that I have to push my way through life to realizing, again, not just in my head, but physically starting to realize and feel that life is taking me someplace. And I can struggle real hard through life, or I can just let go, and we get to the same place. Maybe more likely to get there in one piece by letting go. I feel the support of life, the support of the current is carrying me through life. Two, start to feel healing. As I begin to feel the current in my life, I start to feel that there's a current that's flowing, not only carrying me, but also flowing through me. And that's why I lead a lot of breath explorations lately for the last 5 years or so, because I've found that that's such a physical way for us to feel a reality. So not a metaphor, a reality that when we allow ourselves to breathe, we are actually letting life nourish us, letting life more, even more specific to this point, letting life heal us. And there's this nourishing, healing quality that deepens the more that we let go and we allow life to flow through us as breath. And it's not just breath, it's light too. If you've ever noticed that, if you really take a moment, you could even do it now, and realize how much we tend to hold light out. It's so strange, but when you consider it, then you feel it. And when you feel it, then you know in your body there's an alternative to holding out light, and that's letting it in. And you could do that right now. Just decide. We're so complex, maybe we don't know how, but maybe we don't need to know how. Just decide to let more light in. And then more light starts to flow in. And I believe through. So we start to become brighter. So it's breath, it's a light, it's also sound. We hold out sound so we can focus on what we think that we need to hear. I mean, can you feel the truth of that? Like, not just there's the fight or flight quality of that, where I'm listening for the bear and I'm ignoring everything else. And that fight or flight quality works its way into our lives in really, really secretive sort of ways, where I only hear the bad things that my wife wants to say. Not only just the sentences that are specifically negative towards me and not hearing the positive ones, but even within the sentence, the tones, I'm pulling out each thread. I'm almost deconstructing a sentence from my wife and reconstructing it with the same threads into the message that I'm listening for, which is that I'm not good enough, that I made a mistake, that I messed up, that I'm unacceptable, that I'm a problem, whatever it is. And maybe that's happening with you and your boss, or you and your son, or you and your friend. And I think it happens a lot with spouses, probably. At least it does for me. Let in all the sound. All the background noises. Even as I do this video, I'm trying to sort of control that there's someone using a chainsaw or something a couple blocks away. And obviously I can't control that, but I'm expending energy somehow trying to block it from my reality, from this video's reality, from your reality. I'm trying to control you in a way from hearing it. All this energy being spent to control, to hold out what we don't want in order to focus on what we do want. But the problem, the really, really big problem with that is it's a lot of times what we end up wanting and choosing is stuff that that feels bad to us, but we're in such a fight or flight mode in life that we have to look for the danger, we have to look for the criticism, we have to look for the problem. And so on a level, what we want is actually really bad stuff, and we will always find it if that's what we're looking for. In this day, today, if you're listening for danger, you will find it. And if you keep listening for danger, this day will be full of danger and drama and problems and issues and evil, all the bad stuff. And you do that enough days in a row, and you'll just start to weave into the fabric of your being a posture towards life that says, it is not safe to be here. Standing in the current, we start to realize and feel in our bodies when we let go of our breathing and let it flow through. When we let go of holding out light and we let all the light flow through. The sound we allowed to flow through, and the other senses. All of life is this current. When we start to allow it to flow through, we start to realize healing comes from the breath. Healing comes from the light. Healing comes from the sound. Sound vibration moves your body, vibrates your body, and heals your body. Do you know how many scientific efforts there are to use sound and vibration to heal, to break up scar tissue, to, I think, fight disease, right? So, and light too. We're standing in the current, and the current provides support and healing. When we start to realize that we're standing in the current, we start to open our hearts to the support that is here, the healing that is here for us. A third one is power. When we start to realize that we're standing in the current, that it's taking us somewhere, all our energy to try to take ourselves somewhere becomes available to us. All that energy that's flowing through our body becomes available to us as a tool for good rather than a tool for self-protection and fighting. Our power becomes available to us as we start to feel that we are standing in the current. And a fourth one could be rest. When I start to really feel the truth that I am being carried, supported, healed, empowered by life without my effort, I finally feel I can take a breath and just be. I can rest. Not sleep at night, rest. Not take a day off every week, rest. But the kind of rest that exists inside while we're sleeping and while we're working. While we're sitting and while we're sprinting. There's a rest inside. No matter what we're doing, no matter how fast or slow, we're not rushed, we're not pushing, and we're not holding back. We're at rest because the current has us. Because it's actually safe to let go, to be here. If I just tell you all these things, if you just read a book that tells you all these things, I think that it does resonate, and maybe it helps. But what really changes us is not when we think about these things. It's when we begin to know them in ourselves. And we do that by experience. So much of the way that we live our life is determined by what we experienced as a child before we could reason. And so reasoning is not going to get us out of the hole that we've dug for ourselves if if reason didn't get us in it. Experience got us in the hole. Experience brought us to fight or flight. Experience brought us to distrust, to anger, to hate, to fear, to freeze, to stuck. Experience will get us out. So it's not enough to subscribe to the right YouTube channels, to read the right books, to go to the right churches and sit and listen to the right sermons. None of that's enough. Even to read the Bible or whatever spiritual teaching, whatever. It's not enough. It's not enough. And that has been taught in those spiritual teachings. It is taught that those words that you're reading are not enough. It's not enough. Your whole self has to come into alignment with the flow of life, the current. Your whole self, not just your thoughts about life, but your embodied life, your embodied self. I've been kind of calling this in my head embodied faith. I grew up in the Christian church, and I learned a lot of things that I still believe today, but I learned them up here, and they really didn't have a good way to get down here. They just felt like good ideas that I wanted to believe. But embodied faith is different than, I don't know what to call the alternative, faith, thoughts about faith, thoughts about. It's theory. It's theory. In a lot of ways, I've found religion to be theoretical. But embodied faith is something that doesn't have to be argued. It doesn't have to be dogmatic. It doesn't have to be a battle, because it just is. It's like if people around you were so upset with you for believing that there was error on earth, it just wouldn't upset you, because you'd be like, okay, don't believe there's error, but the air is entering and leaving my body every minute. I have an embodied experience of error, so I'm just not going to get upset that you don't think there's error. There's just no reason to try to convince or argue about something that you just really know. And when you find yourself really worked up and arguing, whether it's about some little thing with your spouse or a big political argument or a religious belief argument, you're only arguing because you're not so sure yourself. The sun is beginning to split me in half. You're only arguing because you don't really believe it yourself. When you truly believe it, there's no reason to argue anymore. So, moving from a conceptual to an embodied faith, standing in the current and realizing on a physical level, I am supported, I am being healed, I am being carried through life. I'm not having to push through life. I am being empowered. My power is being given to me, and I don't have to muster it up. And it's safe for me to rest. Those are all things I think that automatically become known in our body when we slow down enough to sense that we are already standing in the water, that many of us have been working for so long to try to find our way to. You're standing in the water. Everything you want is already here. You have everything that you need in this moment. When we realize that, it changes our whole experience of life. And when that change happens, it changes our whole experience towards life. Which means that the world around us, including the most important people in our lives, begin to receive something new from us that is life-giving. The current is flowing through. So the more that we allow it in, the more we're allowed to and able to let it flow through. And then we become a conduit for life, for healing, for support, for power, for rest. And as we experience that rest, we leave our old state of fight or flight. And as we leave our old state of fight or flight, we begin to thaw. We begin to become reintegrated with our own self. We begin to become whole again. And when that happens, our actions shift from self-serving, self-protective, shielded, armored, even hateful, controlling, to generous and creative. What does a child do when the child is afraid? It runs, it hides, it freezes. What does a child do when it feels safe? It plays. It creates. We're no different, us adults, no different at all than a child, except maybe we've lost our resilience, our elasticity, our ability to bounce back from a state of fight or flight to a state of play. Maybe after enough times of getting bashed back into fight or flight, we just kind of stay there. And if there was a devil or an enemy of some kind who was trying to stifle our life, that seems like that would be sort of the end game, wouldn't it? Not to kill us, but just to keep pushing us back into fight or flight until we stay, without any need for anyone to hold us there anymore. Children bounce back, but eventually they become adults who have to work a little more to come back. My mission in life is to help people feel that they're standing in the current. And then to open up to all that that means for them. And I believe that that eventually leads to more creativity and more rest in the world. This is my hope for others. It's my hope for myself. And probably doesn't need to be stated here, but that mission starts in my own home with my own family. And in order for that to happen, it has to start in my own heart. And that's a lot of work. That's why I have the daily practice that I have. But it's work worth doing. And it doesn't feel like work. My work is two-pronged. The second prong, the first prong is to bring that realization. The second is to support other artists to find and to share their voice. And that is very much connected to the first prong, but different also in how it plays out. So I had all that realization. I came home, I wrote it all down. And then I finished my practice, and I took a shower, and I got dressed, and I ate breakfast. I sat down with my planner and to decide what I was going to do that day. I'm definitely half in the dark, half in the light here. I don't know if this is meaningful in some way. Move into the light. What happens then? I don't know. This is just how it's going to be. Here we go. I sat down my planner and I was like, what am I even doing? Like, I don't know what to do today though. Like, I wrote all this down. I feel like it's all true. I know that like all these things that I do, these tasks of writing newsletters and writing songs and writing books and recording and performing, all of this is good for prong one. And then that requires all this other work of booking and trying to get shows and all this stuff that I don't particularly enjoy doing but have to do in order to make it work. And then the second prong of just all these different versions of producing and helping other artists, workshops, whatever. And I just felt completely overwhelmed. Like, what the heck do I do next? There's too much and I can't do it. And also, like, am I just making all this up? Is this all just complete mumbo jumbo, made up stuff? Like, this is why normal people just go to their job. And I just had this very downward spiral inner conversation. And in front of my planner, and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I'm just waiting to know, what do I write down? And I got to that point, and I felt very discouraged. I had just come from this very excited time to a very confused and discouraged time. And that's when I came into this room and started this video. So I don't have an answer to that person sitting in front of their planner, to me. But just trying to let the light shine through me here. But the way that I'm going to handle that question is by spending this time with you. I don't have an answer. I don't have a path. And that's sort of the nature of being an artist or a leader or a creator. It's the fun of it. It's also the challenge of it. I don't have a path. So there's no one telling me what to do next. And sometimes that means like a week of confusion, and sometimes it means a week of excitement. And whether you are a full-time artist or part-time artist or just a full-time human being, I think we can all relate to that, having this aha moment, and then this like kind of equal but opposite downer of a moment. And this is the way that I'm going to deal with it, and I'm going to invite you to do the same with me, whether you're in one of those downer moments now, or maybe you enter it later on in the day or the month or the year or whatever, is to be thankful for the aha moments, to let them direct you, to write them down, to let them inform your next steps. And then as soon as you hit the equal but opposite downer moment, to rest. So that instead of our lives being a series of equal but opposite, climbing up, falling down, climbing up, falling down, ups and downs, leaving us basically where we started, life becomes a series of climbing up, taking a rest, climbing up, taking a rest. When those downer thoughts begin to come in, instead of letting them take us back down into fight or flight, we take that opportunity to rest, to let go, and to just let ourselves feel whatever we're feeling. And trust that the aha moments will come again. So I'm going to play a song, and the song will be meant to act as a 3-minute rest for me and maybe for you. I don't know what song I'm going to play. If I step off of this ledge I am on, all that I am, all that I've built upon, will everything that I love fall apart? This is a guitar. I'm playing guitar. I don't wanna die, but maybe I can fly. I wanna try, but I am afraid. Do you give us wings for crawling under things, for life on bleeding knees? If I step off of this rock I am on. My eyes are closed, I am not holding on. I don't want to die, but maybe I can fly. I want to try, but I'm afraid. Do you give us wings for crawling under things, for life on bleeding knees? You're not gonna die. You were made to fly, and heaven's on your side. You have perfect wings. Open up and sing. This is happening, and it's okay to feel afraid. Open up and feel your wings.